Alright, so today we're actually going to be trying out the Parkrun, which is at Aberdeen, and so this is the first time I'm doing. This is a little test. Yeah, right, we got it. Alright, let's do this. Hello and welcome back to the LD channel. Starting from this video, I would like to start a new series that I have started taking part in July, and that is Parkrun. Parkrun is where you do a 5k run, which is mostly based around parks and fields of some sort. There are hundreds of runners taking part every Saturday from 9 AM in England and Wales and 9:30 AM in Scotland. As I am currently living in Scotland, I do my park runs near to where I live and occasionally a little further afield. This series will follow a journey of myself doing the parkrun every Saturday and see how well I did each week. During the run, I had added a telemetry gauge so you can see my stats in real time, alongside some of my commentary. This will not be edited entirely, so you can see my run in full. Anyway, in this video, I had recorded some footage from my GoPro at the Aberdeen Parkrun, which is its 663rd. So I'm going to explain and analyse everything on the day, and so without further ado, let's head to the start line. And off we go. So this is the Aberdeen Parkrun. So basically, I was going to say this is more of a beach run than a park run, actually, because we're literally just running on the path, and there is pretty much a long wide beach over there, and we're pretty much running to the pier and back as well. So it's not like in laps or some sort. This is just like a one sort of continuous loop anyway. So on this day today, it was pretty much sunny as well, and it was a little bit warmer than expected because it's meant to be a bit cooler. So that should make it a bit hard for me anyway. But you know, you just gotta plod on and just get on with it basically. Anyway, so as you can see here, anyway, had a bit of a nice steady start anyway. So and just sort of gradually, like, so personally I started the parkrun on July, and basically I just thought maybe I'd just go as fast as I can, and it turns out that wasn't the case. So it was one of the events that I've started a little bit slow, and then I ended up like really picking up the pace kilometer by kilometer, and then I ended up blazing through without any issues at all. So and that pretty much works wonders for me, so I'm actually gonna continue doing that. So my fastest parkrun time at the moment is 23 minutes 52, I think, or 23:50. So I'm currently working on a sub 21, but on this one I didn't really want to go for it. I just wanted to just sort of relax a little bit and just do a run as normal, and then it'll still be my what we call a maximum effort. It's like my VO2 max run, sort of like that. So this is where you go at the maximum heart rate possible based on your age. So for example, like if you're say like you're 40, then you gotta take that away from 220, and that is your maximum heart rate anyway. Although you can actually go over that, but it's probably not ideal. And I will admit, in a couple of the parkruns, I've started developing chest pains because for some reason I just got way too quick. I had to slow myself down, catch your breath a little bit, and then get back into it anyway. So it's important to listen to your body and all that. So, but anyway, so enough of that. So as you can see here, I'm actually picking up the pace a lot actually. So my average fastest at the moment is probably looking at 4:46 kilometers a minute, and so far I'm actually striding a little bit. So this is where strides. This is where you do like short bursts of like your fastest sprint. So basically you do like a 20-second sprint or something like that. But how I do it is I do it in like 400 meters sprint, something like that anyway. So this is how I ended up, like picking up the pace a little bit, and then as soon as I get to that certain amount, you know, like once I've done like 500 meters of that, I can just slow down a little bit, just catch the breath a little bit, gain back some energy, and then do it again, pretty much, really. So that's what I've been doing for every single park run I do. So all the park runs that I'm going to do now would be my absolute maximum effort, and see if I can get another PB, and it'll be nice. So I'm still working on it, but recently I feel like I'm actually getting there. So anyway, let's anyway, so nice little pickup there. Anyway, so I have overtaken a lot of people, as you see. There are lots of benches on the left hand side, so we're just trying our absolute best to avoid getting run into that. You know, it's like running into a lamppost, but yeah, thankfully we didn't anyway, so spoiler alert. Anyway, so sometimes you go around to the right, sometimes you have to go onto the grass, which I don't think many runners would want to do, really, because it's completely different. You know, you running on a tarmac and you running on the grass anyway. So anyway, so I've overtaken another person anyway, so now I'm at 417. So even though you can actually hear my breaths and all that, but actually I do feel like I'm breathing, like I'm controlling my breathing so much better. I just don't overthink it. I'm just sort of like, you know, when you feel like you want to go burst, then just do it, just burst anyway, and then and just see how long I can hold at that pace for, you know, just try and increase my maximum effort into it, and then hopefully that should be the case. But you know, I have slowed down just a little bit, but it's still a decent pace anyway. So anyway, so my cadence is about 100 on average, just over 180, which is the ideal cadence for, you know, but I know some people do it less than that and still get like a really quick speed or something like that. So I probably assume they do like longer strides, like, you know, sort of like almost just past the center of gravity and all that. So it's just, so mine's like the sweet spot of 180 at the moment, so that's good to know. Anyway, so I'm about to catch up and overtake a few more people now, but probably later on, because the next bit is not as flat as it is here now anyway. So we're just going to, so there is going to be like a few slopes. So there's a couple downward slopes, and then there's a couple like upward ones. So but anyway, you'll see. So if you have a look, so if we're running along on the pier, this is a fantastic place to actually do your runs or your walks, or even your cycles, really. So so Aberdeen Beach is actually quite nice, actually. So I would say it's probably not the best, but it is still very, very nice. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's still really nice to know. Anyway, so this is a great way to, you know, do it. And the weather's perfect for it as well. So although I don't think any runners would appreciate, you know, running in the heat, because, you know, that's what causes us to, you know, do it at a little bit slower pace than usual, and then it increases our heart rate as well, because, you know, because we're taking in so much heat, and then it generates so much sweat, and then your heart rates just and go boom, 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 and all that. So it's just kind of not helping any of us at all. But on this one, like, I knew exactly what to do with that one. So it's like, if I had to slow down, I had to slow down. So as you can see here, I'm actually picking up the pace a little bit there. So just gonna try and see if I can overtake the three guys in front of me. But it's gonna be a while anyway, so I just thought, right, you know what, let's just not think about it, let's just do it anyway. So there's me going past the bench. Oh no, wait. Yep, got overtaken. But I don't really care. It's like, you know, I'm just not even bothered, you know. I'm just generally, I do want to run faster and stronger, so I'm actually working on it. But I don't know really, it's just, you know, this is part of my routine, and I've actually started running back, well, I've actually started taking running a bit more seriously in March. So as you know, I've actually been focusing on my fitness and health for the past for nearly 2 years now, and I'm actually doing really better with my strength training, so I've now incorporated that into my lifestyle. And right now, and then I realized that, you know, if I actually if I add some cross training, you know, like from cycling and swimming, and now running, so this is where I've started to try and do a run about March time. So when I first get back into it, I've just thought, right, I'm just gonna see how far I can run without stopping. And so far I actually did it in about 2.5 kilometers. I think it's the because I've actually been doing the treadmill a lot, so I've been doing like 10-minute runs on there usually, but I think that actually kind of helped with that as well, because my stamina has actually improved since then. And then on my second run, I actually did the full 5k without stopping, so it took me about 2 days really just to, you know, run a 5k distance without stopping. And then I've started learning a little bit, so I've learned a little different terminology and stuff like that, you know, like the cadence and the different types of training I can do. So like your intervals, so this is where you do like a certain set and reps of, you know, at your fastest than usual pace. So there's like different kinds of paces, so like conversational pace, so this is where you run quite quick but enough to, you know, sustain like having a conversation without being too out of breath, you know. And when it comes to strides, as I've mentioned, this is where you do short bursts of really, but at your absolute maximum effort. So like, you know, just run just like go as fast as you can really. So then that's one of them. The other ones, oh yeah, the heart rate zones. So there's like different zones based on heart rate, and so basically zone 2 is like about 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate, and zone 3 is probably about 40 to 55%, something like that, and then zone 4 is pretty much like 20%, and then zone 5 is probably like your VO2 max, like you max out your, you know, so that kind of stuff anyway. So there we go. So we're now on to like the bottom side of the pier, and we're just gone down the slope a little bit. So as you know, when you do go downhill, basically you just gotta like control yourself. You don't want to go quick, so it's like you gotta like control yourself when you do go down, because, you know, there's a likelihood that you're gonna get injured and stuff like that. So anyway, so when you do go downhill, it's like you gotta try and just, you know, control, like don't really slow down, just sort of like get your posture right, and just, you know, make sure that you're landing a little I would say, yeah, just land comfortably in a lap. So anyway, so I think very shortly we're just gonna do so we're gonna come up to a slope very soon anyway. So, and if you noticed on the shadow on the bottom left, that's me. So I'm just overtaking another person, but I think they're gonna overtake me back anyway, so as soon as I slow down anyway. So it is weird, because when I was looking back at my GoPro footage, and I was like, goodness me, what are my hands doing? So, although I do actually like naturally move my arms, like I don't like force it, I just sort of, you know, trust the system, and and it feels really nice anyway. So even though you do look a bit ridiculous when you do it like that, but actually there's a purpose for it anyway. So you're just gotta like just do it whenever you got the energy to do it anyway. So alright, so here is the upslope a little bit, so it's not too much anyway, but as you can see, I actually slowed down a little bit, and I've just realised I shouldn't have done that. I should have done the hill sprint, and then I can slow down a little bit, because I've actually slowed down to just below 6 minutes a kilometre, so that's probably no good. But yeah, I should have done the sprint up the slope anyway, because that way I can just sort of, like just slow down, and then just get back up to my normal average pace, if I can anyway. Now, as you can see, there's a few people overtaking me already. Now, I'm just probably thinking, every time, when we get to the end, and I just like, I don't actually see those people that I, go past, and I thought, So thinking about how they use their energy allowance, their VO2 maxes and all that, I just thought maybe they're just gonna start slow, and then like for each kilometer or something like that, they just build up like a much faster pace and try to stick at that pace for some time, and then that's probably how they do it anyway. So I would like to do at least a park run, like just not allow anybody to overtake me. So that's the next step. So I just want to make sure. So I'll probably would try that. So every single park run, I always do things a little different, just to see what works, what doesn't work for me, and I'm always like experimenting. But I think I really shouldn't think too much about it. At the end of the day, it's a park run. So there's like, this is not like an official race or anything. You're just doing a run, alongside other people, who's doing it. So, but the one thing that I do like, doing the park runs is the fact that, when you see other people, like especially in front of you, you have that urge to actually try and keep up with them, and it actually kind of works. It's like, oh, you know what, I think. And then I actually, when I had my Garmin watch, I was tempted to actually look at my stats, but I actually didn't. I thought, right, let's just not look at the watch, just look straight ahead, and let's see if I can keep up with these guys. Well, some people I can't because they're too quick, they're like too experienced for this, and there's some people, that but either way, it actually does help me, increase my pace, like not a bit, but quite a lot actually. So, and I've just realized, like sometimes heart rate doesn't entirely matter, if you get my meaning, but so anyway, so my cadence is still quite over 180, and we're coming to another downward slope now, and then we're coming up to another upward slope, and I think I've actually sprinted up that way. So I think that was that moment, and I just remembered. There we go. See, I'm sprinting up, and then just slow down again, because when you do go up the hill, like it's elevated, and it does increase your heart rate because you're putting a bit more effort. your legs start to feel a bit heavy as you go. So the higher the incline, the harder it is to run, even walk as well. So, but yeah, I would say it's mostly flat anyway, but there's a fair amount of, you know, downward and upward slopes anyway. So, but again, we're at the beach anyway, and we're on the pier. I would say the pier, because this is pretty much the pier. Alright, so I'm actually sprinting now, so probably about 4:21, 4:31 kilometers. Then I slowed right down again. So this is where my strides come in as well. So we are actually about I think we're actually coming up to about the 4th kilometer anyway, so that's just where we just actually go up and then just go back to well, it's what they call the finish line, but it's also the start line as well. It's like you finish where you started, really. So, but hey ho. Anyway, so the majority, as you can see on the bottom, is my heart rate is 170 plus. So basically this is what they call a zone 5, but actually it's a zone 4. So based on my maximum heart rate and based on my age anyway. So mine, I would say probably about 75% spent in the zone 4. And then sometimes when I do like the sprint, especially at the end, this is with like zone 5 ever anyway, so. And looks like I'm about to overtake someone again. There we go. See? It's like when they slow down and then you feel like, oh, you've got the energy, like you've got the breath, so you can just like go for it, just overtake, and then just sort of like keep sprinting until you're like, okay, enough's enough, so I'm just gonna. And there is someone else as well. You know, like, it's really hard to try not to look back, because, you know, when you try to like stick to one certain lane, because even though we don't have the shared use of the route, we have to be considerate of other pedestrians, cyclists, and somebody else who's not doing the parkrun anyway. So we just gonna have to be mindful anyway. So and consider it. So anyway, so it is sometimes can be a bit hard to stick to like one side, especially when you get all that space anyway. It's like you wanted to like slow down and you want to stick to the left side, so somebody else, if I want them to overtake me, they can. So anyway, so we've just gone up the final upward slope, and now it is the last kilometer to the finish line, and there we go. So this is normally where you know, give your everything. You know what they always say, always have a sprint finish. I do apologise if I'm a little bit awkward at talking, you know, I'm just so I'm actually recording this real time as I'm actually watching the footage that I put together, and you know, it's just trying to get the correct words. So if I get the wrong words, then I apologise for that, but hopefully I'll be as entertaining and not as boring as I want it to be. But hey ho. And as you can see in my shadow silhouette, there's my GoPro attached to my hat anyway, so it does look goofy, but actually this is where I can get my parkrun shots anyway. But I'm probably going to need to get different accessories for that, so I can hopefully get a better view. But this is pretty much alright actually, although you can see the cap in the front, you know. So that was quite interesting. It's like the cap is doing the running and not me, but the shadow gives away anyway. So There we go. It's the last minute. I've had a quick check on the watch, see how I did. So my cadence is increasing. So now I've got to do a sprint finish. So mine's like 4:14 kilometers a minute now. Although I do feel like it's probably faster than 4. But according to my stats, it isn't anyway. So it's close enough though. Anyway, so we're coming up to the finish line now, and there we go, and that's the Aberdeen Park Run done. So this was my second run that I did at Aberdeen. The first one I wanted to get some footage, but for some reason my GoPro battery has died, and I didn't record it anyway. So, but there you go. All right. Okay, so my official results from the 30th of August from the 663rd Aberdeen Park Run. So I did it in 24 minutes 20 seconds. So my overall position is 87 out of 398 runners. So my gender position is 75 out of 231 male runners. My age group position, I am 9th out of 30th, and this was my 8th park run overall. So I'm actually quite pleased with the fact that I've actually made the top 25% of runners doing this park run. But I mean, I actually I would say I don't care. This is part of the routine, and even if I don't do my best, at least I've still go out there and do it. But all in all, it was an enjoyable park run, so I really enjoyed that. Anyway, I will do this again at some point in the future as soon as I can find some time. So there we go. Yeah, so I did the park run. I think I've got probably about 24 minutes, but it is a hot one, the sun's out, and it was good. So on to the next one.